Video games have changed a lot since their inception, and even in my lifetime I've watched them grow and evolve into myriad different forms. Long gone are the days of watching my father admire Lara Croft's remarkable polygons on the PS1. Long gone are the days of sitting and rearranging all my games into the right boxes, taking them into my local store and trading them in towards the new Gears of War or Halo or whatever the hot thing was at the time. With every year that passed, the games evolved further and further, and many of us grew up alongside them, from tens of polygons to tens of thousands, new technologies and the hardware to match. But as they grew, so too did all the clever ways that the gaming industry could squeeze our hard-earned money out of us. First, you could buy a game for $49.99, get a thick printed guidebook and play it to death. Then it was $59.99 for the exciting new chart toppers. And then after that, you could pay extra to play online and cram untold hours in with your friends. And finally, when you were done, you could sell or trade the games you had to squeeze some more value out of them towards the next one. Eventually though, came all the new wallet depletion systems of the games industry. The price tag only got you in the door. Endless microtransactions, paid loot boxes that teeter on to gambling, pay-to-win store items, battle passes, early access, on and on and on. I was always willing to cough up $30 or $40 for a proper expansion because I knew it was a whole new experience that was fresh baked for me. It was worth the money. But then they wanted to charge me for features they had withheld from the core game, and so we would pay more and more to receive less and less. Like a lot of people online, I was fuming when Battlefront 2 had its loot box drama, and I was banging my head on the desk when data miners found all the on-disc DLC of the already transaction-riddled Street Fighter Cross Tekken, which was ultimately killed by its greed. And so it went. I couldn't stand it. But to say all of this is a roundabout, scenic route way of getting to the big question. Why the would someone like me ever play a gacha game? In today's gaming industry, few things stand so antithetical to the gaming values I had growing up than the concept of a gacha game. Pay to win? Check. Loot boxes? Check. Battle passes? Check. Time-gated progress you could conveniently pay your way through? Check. Just having a vague enough idea of what gacha games were was enough to deter me completely away. They almost didn't register on my radar at all. Almost unanimously, bearing some anime-inspired art and over-designed waifu-bait characters, these games earned a fast pass through my subconscious filter and into the never-ever bin. And so I went on my merry way unaccosted by the gacha gremlins and their wallet thievery. Although perhaps not entirely. Maybe it's all the Zoomers and Kumas have ever known, but all these features had long since begun to seep into modern games in general. Free-to-play was growing in power, and with it came behemoths like Fortnite. And with these new models, these new monetization schemes became commonplace. Everywhere these measures appeared, they met great resistance, and ultimately prevailed. Being bombarded with Battle Pass and shop notifications just became the usual thing. People just got used to them, myself included. It was the new normal. And so one day, when I found myself at a huge Comic-Con event in London, I felt an unusual pull. A strange game had been causing a huge stir at the event. Giant banners hung over booths, desperately trying to accommodate heaving masses of beautifully dressed people. The excitement was palpable, the fan base huge and impassioned. Of the tens of thousands of the people at the convention, it felt like a third of them were dressed in costumes that shared design elements. Who were these hulking anime heroes looking down on me from the banners? And how had they earned such a following? Nothing else there had drawn attention quite like it. And so came a whim, striking me at a moment of wonderment and curiosity. Fine, let's see what all the fuss is about. That game was called Genshin Impact, and it was the first taste I ever had of a gacha game. I went into the game with my teeth gritted, determined to not spend a single dime on the game. Not every one of those people at the convention could be fools, I told myself. So there must be something to all of this beyond having an addictive personality and more money than good sense. And so I took my tentative first steps into the world of Teyvat. These days, it's probably pretty difficult to find a gamer who doesn't know what Genshin is or what gacha games are. As you likely know, the way gacha games work is that all the greatest characters and weapons, generally speaking, are locked behind a sort of loot box system. The game would give you a cast of free characters who are perfectly functional, but all the most attractive, powerful and interesting characters required rolling the die and testing one's luck. To roll on these special characters and weapons, you must acquire special in-game currencies. Naturally, you can pay buckets of cash into the game to acquire as much of said currencies as you need. This is the primary source of income for all gacha games. Fate, Nikkei, Grand Blue, Arknights, Honkai, even, I suspect, the world-famous Raid Shadow Legends. Given you're watching this on YouTube, you know what that one is. This is the part of gacha games that people avoid, even dismiss outright. Unfortunately, the cost of these things is also obfuscated behind layers of confusing currency conversions. Having said that, the game always offers these resources to you for free, so long as you continue to play the game. In the case of Genshin Impact, there were a huge variety of ways to earn these currencies. Initially, this means doing lots of adventuring, story and side quests, exploration, and eventually endgame challenges, all rewarded with these ever-precious currencies. A very important thing to note about these games is that many of them will fight tooth and nail for your attention with constant updates that add endless amounts of new content and things to do. There is always some new event, some new minigame, character, or new something to do. And almost always these updates come with a swathe of new currency rewards. Constant, free mini expansion packs was something even this old man could appreciate. Early in my adventures though, I understood little of how all that worked. All I knew was that I would never give them my credit card details even if they placed me face to face with the one most beautiful, buxom, all-powerful Genshin waifu that they could muster. After investing many hours into the experience, I found myself both invested in the world and staring in disdain upon the banner of the coolest character I had seen so far. A tall, muscular, sort of, fun-loving Oni who beat the shit out of everyone with a giant spiked club. I was genuinely furious. Furious with the game for keeping its true essence paywalled away from me. Until my eyes wandered upwards into the corner to find that over the course of my adventure so far I had unwittingly grown wealthy? Muddied by all the strange currency conversions, I had no real concept of what the game had given to me. Small rewards had added and added to the point where I realized that not only could I try to get the character in front of me, I was certain to obtain it. The moment Arataki Ito appeared before my prize pool in all his goofy glory, I was overcome with the spirit of joy. It was exhilarating. The character was a pleasure to use and didn't cost me a penny. I thought this might be my one and only, the one freebie from Hoyoverse to reel me in. But in the end, it wasn't. In fact, in my time playing Genshin, I successfully won every character that I cared about winning, plus some chi-chis for my effort. But best of all, my bank account knew none the wiser. So long as you can play a bit now and then, you will inevitably save up resources and give yourself a good shot at getting the characters you want. If you play a lot, you can almost be certain of getting the ones you really want, at least. After some time, I stepped back from the game and came to a realization. If you took away the concern about paying for loot boxes, you were left with a huge variety of different games from different genres, all with their own merits and innovations that could have appealed to swathes of different gamers, who would never even notice or consider them. It didn't matter if it was a character action game, an adventure game, a tower defense, action shooter, turn-based strategy game, all because they were gacha games instead, coloured by one defining shop mechanic and not by what was at their core. Over time, I came to try many of these gacha games. Abroad in Japan, I saw a young Japanese woman on the subway, frantically firing at the weak points of some giant wyvern, whilst putting away an anime girl's huge jiggling arse cheeks to take cover and reload when the incoming fire was too intense. The game looked intriguing to me, and for 4 reasons rather than 2. Enter Nikkei. Some time before my foray into gacha, I had watched some of the Fate anime series and enjoyed them. Enter Fate Grand Order. Punishing Grey Raven was a character action game, Arc Knights a tower defense strategy game, and when Hoyoverse finally released Honkai Star Rail, the battle for my heart had been won.
That paradise may be unreachable for me. Savor it in my place.
A turn-based strategy game in the style of the Persona series with an overall quality that was through the roof. Although I didn't stick to all of them, all these games had something to offer. They varied in their generosity, to be sure, but not one of them cost me a penny. In fact, my experiences as a free-to-play player brought light to one of the biggest arguments I have for trying these games, even if, like me, you would never pay real money. The limitations of free-to-play make gacha games even more fun. The excitement of the games came from never knowing for sure what you would get and having to choose carefully. The challenge came from working with what you had, expressing creativity in builds and compositions, and making the most of it, rather than mindlessly inserting money into the machine to guarantee every drop and optimize every outcome. Now look me in the eyes, because this is important. I cannot stress this enough. The games were more fun to me because I was free to play. When Star Rail first came out, I relished knowing I had managed to get Welt and Sealer at the start. I enjoyed seeing other free-to-players have completely different experiences because of their differing roles. Discussing it online with unfortunate Himeko havers was a bloody hoot. In the end, I started paying a humble £5 sterling per month for a daily login bonus. Just with this, the myriad free roles and rewarding content they offered, I was able to get every single character that I wanted. Husbandos. I collect sexy, handsome husbandos. I still consider myself mostly free to play, and I only ever broke the seal for Star Rail, but more importantly, it felt like Hoyoverse had really earned my humble reward. After paying full price for games like Diablo 4 and for vastly overpriced skins in games like Valorant, and then still facing down their hollow Battle Pass offerings, along came a gacha game which respected my time and money more than 80% of the games I had been playing for years. A game which worked harder, faster and more frequently to keep me entertained and engaged. A bloody gacha game, the likes of which I had avoided like the plague in favour of getting with all the same monetization methods, just with far less lube. Other games wouldn't even buy me dinner first. But at least I finally understood the excitement of all those people at the convention. So to stop rambling and answer the question, why the would I ever play a gacha game? Because behind the infamous title of gacha hides a world of different high-quality experiences, spanning every genre from character action to turn-based strategy. Teams of open-eared developers have been slaving away to craft all manner of enthralling stories with lovable characters, riveting gameplay with carefully crafted cinematics, musical bangers and more. Because few games work so hard for your time and attention as gacha games do, which are constantly updated with substantial content, and even mini-games and events that turn your expectations on their head, only to then reward you for the privilege of having enjoyed them. Because the bottomless experiences these games offer for free is made all the richer by the limitations of free-to-play and the creativity it inspires. And if you want to whale and you can afford it, then you get to experience the full variety of characters and things. You can be a collector, and at the same time, you're funding the game for the rest of us brokies who don't provide enough support. Wonderful. Because even a jaded old fogey like me managed to discover their true value, and to this day I still log in every single day to play Honkai Star Rail, and when I parted with some small amount of money in it, I honestly felt as though the game deserved more. Not everything is sunshine and posies. These games have their problems just the same as any other, and I urge due diligence when looking into which games to play and which communities to join. But if your misgivings, like mine did, stem from the monetization, anime aesthetic or mobile nature of some of these games, I urge you to consider peering beneath the frightful facade and try to see these games for what they could really be. If you choose the right game for your tastes, and you find the perfect target for your awkward parasocial affections, the whole gacha thing will cease to be a matter, and you'll be able to enjoy all the rich experiences that you have been denying yourself all along. It doesn't hurt to try, right? Right? Tell me I'm right, guys, please.